everyone. Welcome back. We are Pole on the Call podcast, and my name is Mændy Mac.
And I am Cris Rivers.
And today we are so excited to be here with the amazing Kelly Ann, who is a pole performer and pole coach.
Yes.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's great to see you all again.
Yeah, such a
Yes.
pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Right.
Um,
It's so nice to meet all of everyone who's also in Massachusetts.
I know on the other side of the world,
yeah, faces to the
but
Instagram
you
profiles.
are making your way over to Watertown though. So
Yes.
that's a
Once
plus.
once a
Yeah,
month. And then I'm hoping to also take classes too, because that's been my goal.
Awesome.
Yeah, in between breaking my toe and now it's healed, so I have to do it again.
Oh gosh.
too funny.
So enough
Oh,
about me. Let's
Yeah.
start at the beginning of your pole journey. Can you take us back to the beginning? Tell us why you started
sure.
poling.
Yeah, so I've been a recreational ballet dancer my whole life, and I needed to unfortunately end that part of my life for medical reasons, partially because of one of my disabilities. I was just aggravating the symptoms. So I took a year off and then I discovered pole through Instagram, one of the studios. And what I really liked about it is the fact that you don't have to do everything. You don't have to achieve every single move. There's nothing saying that you have to level up or you have to level up in a certain period of time. If something really is painful for your body, you don't have to do it. You know, that's what we preach in intro. If something is painful, please stop. That's your body telling you that maybe it's not for your body. And that really appealed to me after a lifetime of ballet. And you have to learn everything in ballet, like everything. There's no getting around it. And I was also looking for another way to express myself through movement. And there are so many different options with pole and how you express yourself, from the music you pick to your dance style to your footwear and your outfits, everything. And so I took a couple intro classes at one studio and then came to Fly Together Fitness, and I never left because now I am an instructor.
That's so awesome. You went from student all the way to instructor in the studio where you trained. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you find your ballet background helped when you started coming to pole dancing?
A little bit. Uh, Everybody kind of asks that, and it's funny because people can also call that out when they see me dancing, and they're like, "I knew it, I knew it." And I'm like, "I know, I can't really hide it." Well, I've always been athletic, and I've always been obviously a dancer. So there are parts of it that did create an advantage, like choreography and then eventually freestyle, being able to identify music that my body really enjoyed moving to. And then the body awareness, absolutely the body awareness. But on the flip side, I had zero upper body strength to start off with. Like ballet dancers don't use our upper body, we use our legs, right? So my legs, hip flexors, all that good to go. That made dancing in heels a little bit easier as well. But the upper body needed a lot of work. And it's finally taken about 3.5 years to feel solid and confident. But yes, it did give me a little bit of an advantage, just like gymnastics or any other athletic endeavor.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We usually hear like two sides. Yes, it gives us an advantage, but also sometimes
Absolutely.
you have those bad habits that you bring in.
Yes, and I also really had to learn how to strengthen my hip flexors as well with active flexibility. You know, I already had the passive flexibility, but the active flexibility to engage the hip flexors and not get Charlie horses and cramps all the time because those babies are terrible. They're so bad.
I think we all felt that when you said it.
Yes, yes, but that's how you know they're working. unfortunately.
I like that take on it. That's how you know they're working.
Yeah, that's what I like to tell intro students. When your muscles start to shake, that's how you know that they are engaging properly because you've never really used them before.
Right. They're like, I'm trying.
Yes, yes, I'm trying so hard. I'm trying my best. And that's all we ask. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So when did you become a pole coach?
January 2022. So almost 2 years now. I did some internal training with Fly Together Fitness. They have their own training that they do. And it was over the course of a few months. I can't recall exactly, but we covered things like anatomy, class planning, class management, spotting and cueing. And then we also have like continuing training and education, I guess, where as we move up and we start to teach different levels, we learn how to spot those milestones as well that are particular to those levels for safety reasons.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
And then of
And then,
course, like first aid CPR, and then like AED training, things like that.
yes, that's always necessary for sure.
That's awesome that the studio provided that. I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of it, we had to come up with like a mock class and do like a mock a run through of a warm up in a class, and then onboarding is more training, more hands-on training, which is I found very valuable as a fitness and a dance instructor.
Yes, that's awesome. Oh, what type of classes do you like to teach?
I teach so many classes. I would say that the only classes I don't really teach that aren't necessarily in my wheelhouse are contemporary pole, flexibility, and conditioning. Those three classes, I am more of a student than an instructor, but the menu of classes that I generally teach, intro level 1, level 2, spin pole level 1, which I teach now in the fall on Sundays in Watertown. And then spin pole level 2, beginner heels, floor work, base work type of classes, slow flow type of classes. Yeah.
That's a
An
lot.
intro
How
to,
many?
an intro to sensual movement as well.
Oh my. So you're at multiple studios teaching that.
No, this is all one studio, but our schedule rotates every season or quarter, depending how you look at it. So different instructors will teach different classes at different times. We do have instructors that have a solid baseline of classes. We have one instructor that always teaches intro and level 1 because that's what they excel at. And we have other instructors like myself that can teach a wider variety of classes.
I love that. Awesome. Do you offer any of your classes online?
No, we do not yet. We did, of course, over the pandemic and when people were home. I'm not sure if that is in discussion with the larger group, that is a good idea. And if that's something students are interested in, especially because we do rent poles that people can rent out for, I want to say $99 a month. It might be different now, but for a whole month, it's a tension pole, and we also have a stage pole as well. So if students are interested in that and they feel like that would be an advantage, that's always something that they also can bring up to the studio to an instructor or through an email or message. The studio is very receptive of student feedback. So that's a great idea, actually. We do also, there's a train going by. We do offer with memberships, though, we do have our milestones on demand. So there are recordings of instructors walking through the milestones, say like a dip turn or a fan kick or a layback, things like that. So that is available for students, but nothing as of yet in terms of like a live class, which I know you all do over at, was it Paul down the hall now?
No, it's still pole in the wall,
It is.
but we're keeping the hashtag.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I like that too that you call them milestones because like
Mhm.
that makes them like seem like they're like on the journey and they're not like, you know, hard like requirements or anything like that. But
Right.
they yeah. And then are those available, you said online, so people can like use the home pole, which I think is awesome. They could rent the pole from the studio and
Yes.
then do the milestones um at home.
Yes. Yes.
Love it.
Most of the times, they are students that are about level one, uh, or beginner intro. Maybe they have prior pole experience, and we have quite a handful of them. And we also have a stage pole as well. So students tend to take advantage of that and they ask questions. And it's also a really good way to test it out if you're not sure what it would be like, because otherwise it's a, it's an investment. It's a couple $100s. And then if it doesn't work, you have to find a way to unload it, more or less find someone to take it off your hands. So it's a very low stakes opportunity and a way to dip your toes into home polling and get a little bit more of like conditioning or practice in your life.
That's
Love it.
yeah, that's pretty neat. It helps I feel like that definitely helps build community and it's a great
Mhm.
business opportunity for studios.
Mhm.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mandy.
Oh no, I was gonna bring it back to the amount of classes that you teach every week.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing that?
I don't teach all those classes in a single
I,
week.
I hope
Uh,
not.
so usually on the schedule, I'm 3 to 4 classes a week. Right now I'm on for 2. I teach Saturdays at 4:30 in Somerville, level 1 pole, and then Sundays in Watertown at 2:30 spin pole, level 1. Yes. Typically, our instructors teach no more than 3 or 4 classes a week. You also have to count in your own personal training time and if you're going to class and the prep work it takes in for your classes, especially if you're teaching like a higher level class, like that. But no, I do not teach all of those classes at once.
I was really curious
Oh,
because
oh my
you and
goodness,
you and I have
no.
very similar bodies, and I'm now trying to find like a balance between like
Yeah,
being mindful in my own practice and teaching. Yeah. So maybe that would be a
yes,
good leeway into maybe if you wanted to start giving us some insight on your disability, and maybe starting with why you left ballet because of it, because
yeah,
mine is maybe similar.
yes. So there's mental health and then there's also physical diagnoses. But the reason I had to leave ballet is because Mandy and I share a diagnosis called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and there's about 13 variants, but we both have the hypermobile variant. So it is a genetic condition, and our bodies just more or less don't produce the collagen that we need to keep our tissues nice and cushioned. It affects really everything in the body, and sometimes you don't know how it impacts you until in our case it's a little too late. And I remember Mandy going through the journey early on of not understanding what was up with her shoulder and then finding out. And I remember reaching out to you saying like, I went through something similar and I'm here. And I know it's very scary because again, you don't know what could happen until it does happen. And so because there isn't as much cushion between your tissues, the wear and tear that ballet takes on your joints is about tenfold, right? You are forcing your body into abnormal positions for extended period of time, and you may or may not be doing the exercises to strengthen the muscles around those joints, which was my case. And your body is already used to moving outside of your range of motion. So again, there's this extra stress that's put on it, and that parlays into the recovery time that you need. And it was strongly advised that I stop. And so I kind of slowly let go of it. It was like that old saying where if you're holding onto a rope, just let go of the rope because it's better that way. Otherwise, you're prolonging the damage, right? Yeah. So I kind of moved through the paces and I was like, oh, I'll just do bar work. I won't do any floor work. And then I became very dizzy and my balance was affected. And so I just stopped and I took a year off to really think about things. And that was really hard because I really understood how it would impact my life, because ballet has been part of my life almost forever. And again, I was kind of scrolling through Instagram and somehow came across pole, and I said, well, let's try it. I was, of course, absolutely nervous. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I didn't even know like what to wear. And I remember taking like freestyle and like sensual movement and being like, I don't know what you want from me. Like, how do you want me to move? Because I'm so used to being told how to move. And to have this ability to move my body in however it feels like at any given moment, any given day, is very liberating. It's very freeing and it's very joyful. And that's, again, what I like most about pole. That's why I had to leave ballet, because as much as I enjoy it, it was not doing my body any good. But I'm happy to report now, after almost 4 years of pole, my body has only gotten stronger. Very minor injuries, overuse, repeat use type of things, just goofy injuries, but nothing that would have probably happened if I'd stuck with ballet and kind of forced my body into that.
Right. It's almost like the pole dancing is a great mix between like our like the strength and the flexibility so that we can find that balance. Yeah. But
It's
I'm glad you mentioned the overuse though, because that's one thing.
it's incredible how many people were discovering have this. And I never realized there were so many variants. It's wow.
It really is. It's more of like a spectrum where, because it's on a genetic level, like somewhere along the DNA chain is just fucked up, it impacts your whole body, like dental, hearing, vision, everything like that, your coordination. And there are some extreme cases, and those situations are very limiting in life. So while my limitations are frustrating, I'm still very grateful, because at the end of the day, that old saying, like, it could be worse. It could be. It could be. And if this is what I have to deal with and the parameters that I have to work around, I'll take it. But you are right. It's not necessarily becoming more popular, but awareness is rising. And that's something I talk about in my classes when we do like bracket grip, or we warm up our wrists and our elbows. Something that I will specifically point out to a student if I see their elbows are hyperextended, but I always explain why, and I always give an adjustment for it.
Right. It's always that awareness too, because a lot of times this is everyone's you know, sometimes it's their first type of movement and they're not
Mhm.
really aware of their bodies in that way. And that's just how you've been moving your whole life.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, right. We
Mhm.
never want to diagnose anyone, but for safety, it is important that we point it out.
yeah, yeah.
It
Yeah, even
is.
today, I saw in a Facebook group for aerial instructors, and they were it was like a rant about how there's not a lot of safety precautions given in classes
Yeah.
to, you know, all different bodies and stuff like that. In particular, hypermobility. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Like you said, a lot of people are just like, I don't know, my body just does this weird thing. And a lot of the times there's no pain until it's overused or it's used incorrectly or you have an injury. We're very prone to injuries and a very slow recovery from injuries because of our super bendy bodies. So I like to say that our bodies are kind of like working overtime every single day just to keep us functioning. The energy that it takes someone to just go about their bare minimum day. Um, that is like one drop in the ocean for us sometimes. And it's just having that awareness and being able to see that in yourself and having that knowledge about yourself and then being able to spot it in other people. And when I see a student's elbow hyperextending, for example, I always point it out. I bring it back to myself and I point it out myself. And like you said, we can't diagnose anyone, but we can always guide them safely and explain what their body is doing. So I always demonstrate on myself and say, this is what's happening with your elbow. And here is a solution that I found that makes it easier for me. And then I always say, you know, this is what you should be looking out for. Like we get, what is it, forearm pump a lot with bracket grip on that bottom hand. So I also tell students, you know, this is what you should look out for in terms of overuse. This is what it will feel like. And I feel like giving them kind of a wraparound explanation, it sinks in better. It sinks in better and they understand it better. And they're a little bit more confident too.
right. It's just giving them the awareness of their muscles and their body and how to kind of like talk
Mhm.
to it a little bit so that it can help
Yeah.
you out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's I wanted to thank you too when you reached out
Mhm.
to me. Like I was feeling really
Yeah.
lost about it and you were really candid with the response and I appreciated that because you're absolutely right. It's just like managing your symptoms and um it could be anything. You wake up with a new body every day.
Yeah. Yes. If I sleep incorrectly, I always get a knot in my neck. Always. I have to use like one of those travel pillows now. And there's a point where you're like, oh, I have to make accommodations for myself. And there's a point where you're like, this is kind of silly. This is kind of ridiculous. Like, can I just be like a normal person? But once you allow yourself that grace, whether it's like in your day-to-day life, like sleeping with a travel pillow or something in pole, like for me, my goober moments are always with foot mounts. Anything foot related, I sprained my ankle, like coming out of one. It never works out for me. Never. So I just avoid them. And I could sit in class and feel jealous of people who can do foot mounts or one thing or the other, or I could just say, well, you know, they're not for you, but you have all these other things that you're great at, and that's okay. There's other ways that you can get into this move. It's okay. So allowing ourselves that grace and that just room to breathe and figure out what we need in our regular life as well as pole is so important. It's so important to our personal growth. Again, in and outside of pole.
Yeah. Right? Like, especially for us who come from a ballet background where it's like you can't say no in the class, like you can't skip something.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
in pole dance, you can absolutely say, I'm definitely not doing that, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have any advice, I guess, for anybody who might be, for any pole dancer who might be suffering with ED, or even for instructors who aren't aware of it and might have a student suffering from ED?
Yeah, so like the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Yeah, that was actually one of the notes I made for like your later questions, like any advice for instructors. But just in general, this applies to our day-to-day life. If you have a friend who has a particular diagnosis, whether it's a medical, mental health, or physical, just read up on it, educate yourself about it. You don't have to be a professional, you don't have to be a doctor or things like that. Just, for example, if someone is diabetic, know the signs and symptoms. Um, if you have a student and they tell you that they are diabetic or they have any other medical condition, uh, it would be in your best interest to understand what that entails. Again, the signs and symptoms if someone is beginning to struggle, for their own safety. And again, that's in and outside of the studio. That's with your friends and your loved ones too. You would do that as well. You would just take on that responsibility of caring for them. And I kind of take on that responsibility with my students, just through nature of having to learn about myself and my own limitations. So if someone shares something with you and you're not really sure what that entails, whether it's, a learning disability, or they're feeling particularly anxious that day, or their body is not cooperating, I'll simply ask them and say, is there anything that I can do to make your experience here better? Because it's understandable that not everyone's going to know everything, and that's okay. We're pole dance and fitness instructors. We're not doctors, we're not necessarily educators, but we do work with people in very intimate ways. And people come to us sometimes with very specific goals and very specific reasons for being there. I was one of them. And we have to be mindful of all the things that come into play when someone walks in the door. So educating ourselves to any degree possible, knowing the signs and symptoms, just like we do with first aid and CPR classes, and being able to support our students and our fellow instructors in as many ways as possible, being a genuine support pillar for them. And that is a great thing for those two. And that, I would say, parlays into, being that support system for your students also parlays into their confidence in being able to come to class and being able to try new things. They feel comfortable to explore that part of themselves. But with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, with someone who is hypermobile, usually the elbows, look at elbows are usually hyperextended, they're extra bendy, your knees, anything like that. Also, if someone is particularly flexible in their splits, that's usually a party trick. But like you said earlier, most people won't be aware that they're hypermobile. They just think that they're double jointed or they're just very bendy. So it usually comes down to us to point it out. And it usually comes down to bracket grip when we figure that out.
Right. And also I found too, I mean, at least for me, I think years of climbing with my elbow hyperextended because I'm pulling my body like that very first fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many things I had to retrain myself to do after I found out. what my body was doing, and it just compensates in whatever way it can
Mhm.
because it wants to do the thing, but for
Yes.
using what muscles?
Yeah. Yes. That is the big thing is overcompensation. Um, the biggest tell is if your biceps are getting bigger, you're not necessarily using your shoulders or your lats, you're just like muscling through. And for me, it was always the legs because my hip flexors were so flexible, but they were so weak. And it wasn't until I started training active flexibility, being able to hold the straddles and hold the splits and engage the glutes, that everything kind of balanced out. I was a little nervous starting out with the shoulders because I do have one flared shoulder already. But again, it's strengthened the shoulder muscles, it's strengthened the lats and the traps and the pecs and everything around the joints that needed stability. And that's the best thing for them.
Thank you for sharing that advice for instructors and for students.
And do you have a do you do any like Pilates? Do you do any strength training outside of pole or?
No, I don't do any cross. I laugh because I have no idea. Like, I go to a gym, what do I do? I stand there and be like, hello, hello. Uh, I guess my cross training is hiking though. I do go hiking a lot. But no Pilates or things like that. If I had an accountability buddy, I would, yeah, absolutely cross train more. But again, I would wander in and be like a lost little lamb. And I don't know. I think it's also because I know we need very specific exercises for our very specific muscles that we use. And I just don't know of any. So if anyone has any resources, things like that, that would be great. Like whether at
So
gym or like at the home.
that's why I asked you.
I know they're too funny.
I started taking bar classes because I thought at least
Mhm.
I would be balanced, front, side, back,
Yeah.
everything. So far so good,
Okay.
right?
Too
But as
I
funny.
far as
think
like
that's great though
stability and
too.
hips,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we think of cross training like me. I'm like, oh, I gotta go to the gym because that's me personally, that's what I'm lacking, right? Um, and that's my own physical limitation is I'm just not made to be bulked up. So we think of cross training of these other physical exertions and these other very specific exercises, like using bands and foam rolling or things like that. But it could also be taking just other dance classes, other movement classes, maybe like bars, so you gain more, um, like Mandy said, stability and spatial awareness and muscle engagement, and you can focus on different parts of your body and really spend that time moving through. Or maybe you take, like we have a heels dance class, which is off the pole. Maybe you take a contemporary freestyle class, a chair dance. That is all cross training as well, because those are all parts that go into pole, that make up pole, that make you up as a pole student, as a pole performer. And it's also continuing education. You're moving your body, but you're also learning.
right. It's good to trick your body, at least for my body too. It's good to do
Yeah.
a lot of different things. So my
Yeah.
body's like, what is that? Um,
I
yeah.
do have to trick my body as well. Yes. Usually bribing works better with like treats. Like, okay, if you train your oversplits, you can get your pizza. And then I'm in my oversplits and that's all I think about is pizza. But it gets me through. Whatever works.
Whatever works.
Love that. Like, why am I going to climb this pole or do circus climbs? So it's pizza or lasagna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, lasagna.
This what we do everything. Burn the calories before we eat them.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that you also shared that you, because I think that it's funny, like hypermobile people usually have like one superpower. It's either back bending or forward bending, and you
Yes.
are a back bender, maybe.
Oh no, my back is so stiff. My back and like my upper shoulder is like I haven't even attempted like a bop or bird of paradise because I have no idea. Like I love choker jade, but I need to spend like a good like 15 minutes alone on my shoulders to warm them up. That's how just like I'm not like hunched over, that's just how tight they are, and that's from all the muscle gain. You know, the muscles are so tight, they need to be massaged out, they need to be flexed out, you know, taken care of, but they're just always like so tight. So anything shoulder related, and this was particularly difficult for me and my body, like shoulder mounts, anything opening up the chest. It wasn't until recently that I have a solid and consistent shoulder mount that took 3.5 years. It was so frustrating. But it was learning that, first of all, my legs are long. I have a longer torso, you know, this, that, the other. And then the last part was engaging my pecs. So it took all that time, but really not getting frustrated with it and really thinking about what my body is doing. But I tell you, I need to get like a good 15-minute warm up just for the shoulders, just to get them nice and loose, get those rotator cuffs going. So anything like that, back benji, no. Hips, pancakes, middle splits, front splits, yes. Back, shoulders, no. I'm like an old lady. No, nope.
That's funny. I'm more of like a
No.
side bendy twisty person. I don't know what's going on with me.
Too funny.
I need to work on back bends too, though.
So, Kelly Ann, I first met you at PSO Northeast. You were Sailor Jupiter, I think you said. That was a wonderful performance. That was fun. Can you talk about other performances that you have done and that you are proud of, or maybe are working on now that are coming up?
Yes. So I've done like all the showcases with Fly Together Fitness. I've done 2 virtual PSOs. I've done 1 in person. I've done most recently was Aerial Acoustics in June, which was put on by a student and one of our other instructors slash owners. Before that, I was in Tarot Dreams in May, which is put on by Nista Hart Studio. She is a local instructor and studio owner, kind of a mobile studio owner. She has a stage pole and a tension pole she'll bring around. And I was the magician. I represented that tarot card. And that was at the Sonia in Cambridge. And then coming up, I actually have a Halloween show again with Nista Hart Studio at the Sonia in Cambridge. This time I am a pole kitten. So I will be doing like an opening act. I'll be intermission in between acts assisting the soloist. And I will be like a siren that you caught, like a mermaid you caught, doing experiments on, very creepy, but very slinky still.
I love it. When is that show?
That is on Halloween, which is
Ooh,
Tuesday the 31st.
it's a Tuesday, yeah.
A lot of experience. I love that. I have to check. Are those all on your social media? All those performances and opportunity
Yeah.
featurings? OMG.
Yes.
You are quite a performer. That is
Yes.
life.
Performances are hard to come by though in Boston. You know, you really got to go to New York. That's where they're all at. But try to get my toes into what I can. I really love performing. I really love entertaining.
Love it. And are you doing any competitions upcoming?
Not personally, but I will be there. And I have a few students that I am coaching right now for their pieces, and I'm very excited to see everything on stage. I coached last year as well, and I love seeing the students progress, going from absolutely terrified in the beginning to ready to rock and roll at the end, and seeing all the work that they did up on the stage and cheering for them and kind of being, that stage mom in the back, not necessarily mean girls, but very excited, very excited. So I do have a few students I'm working with. That was something else that I realized is competition necessarily isn't my thing. I'm more of a performer, which is okay.
It sure is. It definitely is. I feel like sometimes competing takes the fun out of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
But they're
Awesome.
still fun to watch, and I can't wait for PSO Northeast.
I wish I could go this year, but this year I have to travel somewhere else for family events. So next time.
Yeah.
Ooh, my favorite question. Well, it's a twofer. What is your favorite pole trick and maybe your least favorite pole trick?
Oh, so my least favorite pole trick is just my nemesis move, which is like true grip, Aisha, or handspring, what you want to call it. And that's simply just because I don't have the overhead strength. As soon as my legs move out of inverted D, it's over. I like topple out of it. My favorite moves are Superman, any kind of entry into Superman. I love it and I love teaching it. I personally love teaching it because it's a challenge for so many people, and I enjoy the process of achieving that goal with them. And then anything flexy, anything splitty, kind of like where I have to wrap around the pole, like I said, like Pegasus or choker jade, things like that. And I love spin pole. So put all of that on spin pole and just like wrap me around there like a pretzel, or like spaghetti when you just twirl the fork and it just, that's me.
Too
Happy as a clam.
I love it.
Thank you for
That should
sharing.
be a costume.
I was just
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a spaghetti noodle for Halloween and just
yes, and the pole just wraps you up.
That would be amazing. Please make it
Yeah.
glittery.
Oh
man. I love it.
Do you have any specific pole grip that you wear?
yes. So I do tight grip first, which like removes the moisture, creates a barrier, and then usually just dry hands. Dry hands at this point I have to use very sparingly. Your grip strength increases and you build the calluses, but the tight grip really helps if you have any like lotions or any debris or oils on your hand, things like that. Then you can also use it on your body. I don't necessarily use anything else for my body. Just those two. I've tried iTac and I'm not a fan. I've tried firm grip. That is just wild. And probably a few other ones, but I would say tight grip and dry hands are my go-to. Oh, I also tried it's a pad from Loop It Pole, the pink and black one. I've tried that one as well, and it's okay.
Excellent. I always wonder. I also use that Loop It one.
That is fun. I've never heard of tight grip though.
Yeah, it's in like a squeeze bottle, and it's like a pinkish gel, and you don't need much, but you just rub it in your hand for about like 30 seconds until it becomes tacky. You can put it on the pole as well.
Right. I feel like I've heard of it, but I didn't know it came in like a tube.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought it came in a tub.
Oh,
So
there's
maybe I'm thinking of
also,
something else.
I've tried, I don't know if you've heard of it, monkey grip. It's only
Oh, yeah.
available like from Whole Junkie. Yeah. Have you tried it?
I
Uh,
did try it. I'm allergic to a lot of things.
monkey grip or
Oh
monkey
no.
hands? I think there's two different
Oh,
kinds.
monkey hands.
Okay, okay.
I don't know. It comes in like three colored bottles, like a red, a
Yes.
green, and one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
addicted to it.
I tried that once, and that is like super glue.
The green one, oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
oh
I feel like
man.
everyone at our studio likes the monkey grip. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
it's my
ever feel?
favorite.
Do you ever feel like you get to a point where it's like too much grip and it's doing its job like too well? Sometimes I feel with dry hands, especially when it's humid out,
Mhm.
it does its job a little too well.
Yes, I feel like, or is this with any grip in particular or monkey?
Yeah, yeah. Any grip.
Yes, I feel like when my skin is already dry and I'm trying to put on more grip just because, it
Mm.
makes me feel safer, that's when it's like, why did you even do this? Like, you don't even need it.
Mhm.
Right. That happens to me too. I always try to like tell myself, maybe just try the pull first, see how it is. Don't
Yes.
just lather up.
Yes. I think it's a constant thing for us pole dancers, like, especially when we're about to do a performance, let me grip up.
Oh my
Two
gosh,
minutes later, let me put some more.
that's me with the towel. I'm standing there with like the towel in class, just like watching, or like I take the towel and I'm like wiping my body down out of like, I used to take the towel and like do my mouth because my mouth gets dry, whatever, like I drank water and just wipe it. But then my lips were getting so dry and I put two and two together. And I was like, we can't be doing that anymore. But that's me with the towel. I'm constantly like compulsively doing that. Yes, gotta have my towel on at all times. It's an emotional support towel, okay?
Uh,
Some things are scary. Get scary up there.
that's too
Don't
funny.
forget your towel.
We all have
An
our
emotional support towel.
I know, right? I feel like some people are like, oh, you're a pole dancer. It's like, what do you mean? Oh, I'm a pole dancer. Do you know what it's like dancing on a 13-foot pole in front of everybody, knowing you could just die in front of them all?
Just slip down.
That's like, I feel like that's the one thing we all say to ourselves under our breath, just don't fall. Just don't let me fall. And like
Not in front of all these people.
I have such a bad
Right.
habit of like trying things alone in the studio. And I'm like, I just gotta do it. And the fear will kick me into gear. And 9 times out of 10 it works, but there are some times where I'm like, maybe I should be doing this with someone else in the studio because I'm just learning this.
Oh my gosh, you are so brave.
I try not to think about some of those things, like it's you psych yourself out when you like get up there and you look down and you're like, oh no, oh no.
Right. I always have to like give myself affirmations when I'm up there. Be like, you're strong, Mandy. Look at
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
I just
sometimes my partner can't watch me because he's like, oh my God, I'm afraid you're gonna break your neck.
oh, yes. Oh, sometimes I'll show videos to like civilians and it won't be, necessarily anything extravagant, but they're just like, oh my gosh, oh, oh my, the same fear. And I'm like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. But of course, in our head, we're like, don't slip, don't slip, don't slip, don't slip, don't slip, don't slip.
Too funny.
Right. Do you have any pre-performance rituals that you want to share with us?
Oh yes. Brush your teeth. I brush my teeth. So for two reasons. One, I get to focus on something instead of just being like freaking out backstage. Uh, and the mint also helps with your stomach. So any upset stomach. And I also get notorious cotton mouth when I perform because again, I'm just so nervous. So it helps with like the saliva production. but more so it gives my brain something to focus on instead of walking on stage, and the mint helps with your stomach. Other than that, I just tell myself I'm just there to dance. Like, that's it. Like, people are there to see me dance. Like, how cool is that? You know? And they don't know what I should be doing next. They don't know what these tricks are called. If they do, great. That means they're also into pole. But I'm just there to dance and have fun.
I love that. That's cool advice. I never thought about that. The mint.
And don't forget toweling too. You mentioned that earlier, just toweling.
You know, I actually don't get sweaty. I do not, thankfully, I do not get sweaty. I'm very grateful about that. I don't know how. We have a few people at our studio, and I know a few other people who are just sweaty. And I give everyone kudos. I give everyone props for doing what you got to do. That's a situation where you just got to do what you got to do. No shame. Give yourself grace, you know. Full body antiperspirant if you got it. Bring a towel if you got to. If you got to bring snacks to class, bring snacks. All about doing what you got to do.
Amen. So is. It's very true.
Right? Bringing snacks is so important.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
that's a really good tip.
Yes, that is something I have learned tremendously, is to fuel your body. You don't have to fall into the trap of, you know, protein this, protein that, but think about what your plans are for the day and what your body needs to fuel you through that day. On the flip side, if you are going to be on spin pole, also take that into consideration, what you do or do not eat beforehand. But you really do need to fuel your body according to what your agenda is and what your body's needs are. I always bring snacks. You know, if you have to manage your blood sugar, you do that. If you have fainting spells or pops, you get dizzy easily, salt, anything like that. Water, always bring water. That's a good idea.
Do you have any tips to help relieve nausea from spin pole?
So we generally say don't spot something, like don't pick one thing to look at, because you can't control your spin. You can only control the takeoff. And then you're also focusing on looking at that one particular object, not necessarily what your body is doing. So we say just gaze out into the distance, you know, let your eyes go soft. Pick a hand or a foot or a limb, anything like that, and just lovingly gaze at it, you know. This is also why I like teaching spin pole, because we talk about the different combinations that you put together. What moves are you going to string together to give you momentum, and what moves are you going to add in to slow you down? You know, if you go into like a vortex, that's going to whip you around, but if you go directly into a pole sit after that, that will slow you down. Talking about, you buy the ticket, you ride the ride, you can't control the pole, the apparatus itself is moving. So learning again, where do you go from that? What do you throw in if you know you're moving too fast? Do you just bail, or do you move into a different move and slow it down? And then that awkward moment when you lose the spin and you're like, okay, hello, this is great, which is so frustrating because you're just like, oh, well, here we are, ta-da. And sometimes you don't even make it all the way. It's like a quarter turn and you're like, well, that was great. That was great. When you come off the pole, I usually put my hand in between my eyes, like over my nose, because it separates our line of vision. Yes, everything falls into place. Some people shake their head. You can always put your head between your knees if you're particularly nauseous. But I also like to carry, and I think you do this at your studio, ginger candies. Yes. And ginger candies, or you can get, they're kind of like cough drops or lozenges specifically for nausea, but they have honey and ginger in them. Yeah, those are great.
Right. I used the ginger a lot at the beginning of my pole journey, and now I kind of don't usually get dizzy anymore. But
Mm,
I always wonder because everyone's got so many different tips about dealing with it.
mhm.
And like while you're in the spin, I feel like everyone, you don't know where to look either, but I think that's good
Yeah.
advice just to enjoy.
Yeah. I also know someone who has tried like the seasickness bands as well, and those were moderate. She said those helped, but they weren't great. Um, Thinking about me personally, I tend to like look at the pole a lot. Like, let's say I'm in figurehead or hood ornament, whatever you call it. I'm like looking to that inside arm and just like down, focusing on like that one focal point. Or if I'm looking up, I'm just looking up at the ceiling. I'm never really like looking out to the audience. It's usually either up or down.
Right. I wanted to mention too, because I remember one time I got in a comments on my competition, during my spin pole pass, I didn't engage with the audience.
The audience is constantly moving. That's the thing. Where do you want me to look? Maybe if you stay still, like, and that's exactly what I meant before by like if you're spotting, you're thinking about where's it that I need to be looking? Where's the object? Where's the object? And in ballet and typical dance, that helps because it keeps your body stopped and engaged, and you're pressing down into the floor. But in our situation, we need to think about what muscles are engaging and where we need to go next. Then, are we losing our grip? Do we need to bail? Do we need to move into something else? But yes, I'm usually looking down or looking up, don't mind me. Just not going to make eye contact. No,
The audience is like, what?
they're already amazed. Okay.
Right.
They don't need the eye contact.
They don't need the eye contact.
It's going to send them over the edge, right? No, no.
Exactly.
They're already wowed, right? Beautiful.
Someone
Back
once
hook spin. How did she do that?
someone once told me use the judge as your spot. Like if you're gonna spot, use like the judges. So then it looks like you're looking in that direction, even though you're not looking at them at all.
Yes, yes, it is very good advice. Yeah, the judges are like right up there too, like right
Right.
close.
Yes. Yes. So many tips. I love this. Always learning.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing all those tips. Do you have any other upcoming things happening soon?
No, just the Halloween performance at Sonia in Cambridge. I think doors are at 7:30, show is at 8 or 8:30. We have a very wide variety this year. So there's pole, partner acro, hoop, burlesque, partner dance, things like that. And as always, we have a contest. This time, since it's Halloween, it's going to be a costume contest. So if you are attending, wear your costume. I cannot disclose what the prize is. You just have to show up and find out, but it's great. Trust me. It's great.
Ooh, you
I'm
heard it.
excited.
I do. Yeah, I have an influence over it. So trust me, it's great.
Yes.
Oh,
And we're
It's going to be a real treat.
5
A real
years.
treat.
I love it. I can't wait to see when you post it.
right. I wish I wasn't teaching.
Oh, I wish I wasn't working when you were going to come back to Somerville, Watertown on the 28th for your spooky choreo.
No! One day we'll match
Yeah.
up again.
I'll just take the trip out there.
Yes.
Make a day trip. Yes. Yes.
Love
Yes,
it.
me and they are planning our 2024 tour, so we'll be out there.
Yes, 100%.
I want to see posters,
Yeah,
tour posters, a tour t-shirt.
yes. Oh yeah, that would be fun. T-shirts we bring with us. Buy our t-shirts at our workshop.
Right. And the tour dates would be on the back. Yes.
I'm done. I love it. OMG. One of my last question is, where do you see yourself with pole dancing in 5 years?
Oh gosh. Was this like a job interview now? Ooh.
Not at all. We hope to keep running this so we interview everyone and see where they've gone.
In 5 years, you're gonna circle back in 5 years. Okay. Well, I hope to be teaching at more studios. I hope to have my name out there a little bit more than now. I hope to have a few more performances under my belt, whether that's local or in different states or conventions, things like that. I would say those are my two primary goals right now. Of course, on the side, I have different certifications that I'd like to achieve. Um, I do see myself privately insured, which would allow me to teach at other studios, hold private lessons, do private parties, things like that. But other than that, everything else, I guess, will just come with time. Those are my main three goals of expansion as a pole instructor and a performer.
And do you do anything outside of pole?
Ooh,
So I hike a lot. I do a lot of hiking, like day hikes. I make some like mixed media art, which is, I guess, like along the lines of like arts and craftsy kind of thing. But it has some therapeutic properties, which is invaluable. So making like mixed media art. I do a lot of reading. I was reading earlier. Make use of your local public libraries so they stay open. They are a valuable resource for your communities. So I do a lot of reading, like science fiction, horror type of things. Other than that, watching B-side horror and science fiction movies and napping. Napping. Who doesn't love a good nap?
amen. I love it too. Funny.
Yes,
No,
to
you just curl up
napping.
the blanket and you just get your cup of tea and you're like granny or grandpa mode and just like it's right up there next to um, being able to moisturize after not being able to do it. Like if you're teaching like back to back to back, like days in a row, or you're training and just you take that shower and you're able to just like lotion and it feels so good. And it lasts for maybe a day because then you have to go back to the studio and train and teach again.
Oh
It's
my
one of those
God.
very unique feelings, you know. I don't know about you, but my skin gets very dry. I also have eczema.
That's what
And
I was gonna say in the winter, yeah.
yes, and it's so embarrassing when like you share a pole in a class and you get down and you're like, oh, sorry, let me wipe my skin off the pole because it's so dry because I can't moisturize, right? You're like, let me just wipe it down for you. Ugh. Exfoliate. I exfoliate a lot. Exfoliate. I have like one of those like mitts. You just go to town.
Same,
Yep.
same.
If you can't moisturize, exfoliate.
Yes, the stone for the feet. I definitely am
Mm.
that kind of exfoliator.
Mhm. Yes, love these tips. Well, I think that was through all of our questions.
Well,
Yes. Is there anything else you want to share or promote? We're going to have all the links and social media links that you give us
beautiful. Yeah.
below. But anything else that you want to depart with for everyone?
Yes. So I would say for students, it just takes time. Um, it's really difficult to learn something within like 40, 45 minutes of class. I very rarely get anything in class as well. Just be kind to yourself, listen to your body, be open to new opportunities and try things. That's the only way you're going to achieve your goals is by trying. And for instructors, again, educate yourself to any degree on anything that your students share with you. If, again, they share they're diabetic or they're hypermobile or they have hearing loss, things like that. Always ask how you can make the experience better for them. And if something is revealed later on after class, never take anything personally. Always give yourself grace as an instructor as well, because people are coming to you for your professionalism and your expertise, but we don't always know everything. And we're working with human beings and we're working with bodies in motion. And again, we're working with people in intimate ways. There's a lot that comes through the door. So being open to your students, being able to support them and learning about what they're going through. And then I just say, in general, remember to have fun. I always tell intro students, you know, pole is hard, pole is going to be awkward. But if you're not having fun, then you're doing something wrong. You know, take a break and think about why you started to begin with. What attracted you to pole for whatever reason? And that's what I do with myself when I begin to lose the motivation for training. When I feel frustrated with a particular move, I take a break. Pole will always be there. And then I think about the reason why I started. And 9 times out of 10, the reason why I'm frustrated or not motivated is linked to the reason why I started, which is my disability and feeling limited with my own body. But then I circle back and have the second realization that you don't have to do everything in pole, and that's okay. So having a full circle moment with yourself is very invaluable, giving yourself the grace and making sure you're having fun. Laugh at yourself. I love learning new things because I get to laugh at myself. It gives me an excuse to be a goober.
I love that. I think that's one of my favorite advice, to just laugh at yourself. Because if you can't, I mean, then
Right
you
here.
Yeah.
have issues.
If you, oh my gosh, so many times like I've slipped or I've tripped. I've been like wearing my heels and I tripped on myself. And if you don't laugh at yourself, the only other option is that you're going to feel shameful with yourself. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel angry. You're going to put yourself down. And you're learning something new. So there's no reason to be that hard on yourself. You just learn and you move on. And that's life. Just got to laugh.
Right. We're all sliding down the pole face first at 10 a.m.
Sometimes 8 a.m. if we get there. Thank you so much for that.
Yes. Yes.
Love it.
You're very welcome. It was wonderful seeing you two again.
Yes. Thank you so
I
much for
can't wait
taking the
to
time to
dance.
share with us.
Yes, of course. Take care of your bodies. Listen to your bodies. Listen to your brains as well. Although sometimes it does try to trick us, but listen to your bodies and what it's telling you.
Yeah.
Most important.
Yes, I hope we could dance together someday, Kelly, and that would be so much fun.
Yes. Yes, I should make it a point because every time I'm like, I need to go out there, I just need to make it a day trip, like a whole thing. Just spend the whole weekend together. I'm
Yes.
just gonna cut it out. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hell yeah.
I
Yeah.
will.
Definitely keep me posted when you're ready to do that. We'll make it a whole thing.
Yes. And I'm sad I will miss you, Mandy, at the Watertown location.
I will miss
But
you.
we
next
are
time.
up and yes, we are up and running over there. Classes are going, so hopefully we'll see you again for the classes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Fly Together Fitness Watertown is so beautiful. Please go. Shout out.
Yes, we have pretty much the same classes we do at Somerville, except at Watertown, we have acro and handstands. We have dance off the pole with heels and without heels, and chair. And there's also a circus connected to us as well. So if you want to try silks or lira,
Ooh.
they're right down the hall too. Yeah.
Don't tap me for a good time. That sounds fun.
Right. Chris, come
I
with me
know,
on the
I
28th.
Yes, yes,
What do you think
yes.
I'm having a Halloween party?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm booked like till January. I'm excited, but also like, what is going on with my life?
I feel the same
You
way.
need an assistant,
Yeah.
Chris. Oh my
Isn't
God.
that popular now?
Yeah. This was so much fun, Kellyanne. I know you have to get
Yes.
teach a
Yeah.
class.
I'm gonna be
yeah.
teaching sensual movement.
Ooh.
That's
Yes. It's
awesome.
one of my favorite classes to teach.
Hell
I
yeah.
need more of that in my life. I'd be like just a big burly clunking man.
No. That's why I love teaching it, because that's when I started, I was like, I don't know what you want. How do I do sex? What is this? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't know. And I really encourage students to embrace whatever feels right for them and try not to dance like anyone else, because so often we take choreography classes and we think we have to dance just like them. We have to get the moves exactly like them. And that's not the case. That's not the case at all. So I tell my students, I want you to dance like you. You know.
I'm so glad you brought this up. Thank you for talking about that class. It's an important class.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, we'll
All
let
right.
you go teach in and
Thank
we'll
you
sign
both.
out.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Yes.
for
Let me see your
watching.
pleasers.
Right?
We're gonna see that with our heels.
Oh, she got the gold on.
Right,
Always have
gold glitter. Well, thanks so much for listening to
Yeah.
or watching Pull on the Call
All
podcast. My name's
right.
Mændy Mac.
And Cris Rivers. Thank you so much, Kellyanne.
Thank you, you too. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.